Well, hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. It's your friend the neighborhood Saskatchewan guy, Ironman 3406 here. We are back on the Cockshutt 90 again today. Gonna keep tearing things apart, assessing things, bring you guys along for the ride. If this is your first time tuning in, thanks for stopping by. My name is Nathan, and we've been working on this Cockshutt 90 for a couple weeks here now. So yeah, we're gonna keep at her, give you guys a little bit of a lowdown on what my plan is today, and we'll get her done. First things first though, did finally get some of my books. This one I actually got from a buddy locally. It's the operator's manual for a Oliver 90 or 99, which is again the same thing as a Cockshutt 90, but lots of good information in here. Setting up wheel bearings and valve lash, carb settings, all that good everyday information. And then we got the service manual here as well. This is a reproduction one, but it's actually pretty good quality. Everything's nice and clear, but we'll be able to reference this when we get into reassembly or disassembly if need be. And specifications, there's our valve stuff. So when we get grinding valves and getting the seats and everything, we'll know what we're looking for. So yeah, super handy to have books. So in the last video, we finished off getting the head cleaned up, had a look at all the valve seats, kind of gave you guys the lowdown there. The intake seats are in much better shape than the exhaust seats, but we've got the technology to get that addressed. What I didn't get the chance to do was get the valves cleaned up to have a look at those. So that's the first thing we're going to do, get the valves cleaned up so we can have a look at those. After we've got those valves cleaned up and looked at, we're going to get the water pump off. And the reason I want to take the water pump off is you guys remember how much crud and everything was in the water system. I think I figured out how I'm going to get that cleaned out. I'm going to take the water pump off. I'll build a dummy plate to put over that. And then I bought a big jug or container of this Evapro rust. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to fill the block up through the water holes. I'll let this stuff sit in there for a little while to break down all that rust and crap, and then we'll drain it out, flush it with water, and then we'll do the same thing for the radiator as well, because you can use this stuff more than once, is what I've read online. I've never actually used it for something like this. I've soaked parts in it before, but we'll see how it works for letting it soak in a part. But yeah, so we're not going to do this portion of it today, but we are going to get the water pump off, and that'll probably do it for time anyway. So first things first, we'll get those valves cleaned up and have a look at those. So we'll get all rigged up here to give those a buff with the steel brush wheel and see what we got. Alright, so I goofed. I tried to buy a wire wheel to put on my bench grinder, but I bought the wrong shaft size, so we're not going to do that. Instead, I just got a angle grinder put in the vise here. We'll just turn it on and lock it on, and we'll do it that way. Alright, well I think that's going to work pretty okay for what we're using here right now anyway. At least gets all the rust, scale, and carbon and everything built off of them so that we can get a good look at them. So we'll keep going for the other 7 and see what we got at the end, and we'll look at each valve and go from there. And with the power of editing, you guys didn't have to watch the rest of that. I got the rest of these all cleaned up. So we'll pull them all out and have a look at them and see what we think. Alright, so that head looks a little bit different now than it did when we had it laying on the floor the day that I picked it off. So I just slid the valves all back in their corresponding spots, and we'll just take each one out and have a look at it. Okay, so if we look at the first one here, this is the number 1 cylinder exhaust valve, and a little bit of pitting, but not too terrible. Top of the valve cleaned up nice. So that's number 1 exhaust. Number 1 intake. Looks really good, even a little bit better I think than the exhaust. There's a slight groove in there that I can feel with my finger, but that's all grindable or removable. Lots of thickness left on the top of the valve here in the event that we do need to grind. We got lots of material there to work with. And again, top of the intake valve cleaned up real nice here. So number 1 looking pretty okay. Number 2 intake valve. Now this is kind of nifty. This particular valve has heart par written on it. I don't know if you can make that out in the camera there. So before Oliver, if you don't know the history, there was heart par, and that sort of turned into Oliver. But the heart par 2844, I think. I'll put a text on the screen if I'm wrong, but I think the 2844 was the heart par version of what turned into the Oliver 90. So this is just adds to the proof, I guess, that the head's been off of this thing at one point, because somebody's gone and put an oddball mismatched valve in here. But that's okay. It's still cleaned up real nice. Again, the intake valves, there's even less of a groove in this one. Actually, I can't feel a groove at all with my fingernail. So this is a valve that you might get away with just lapping or using some valve grinding compound and just sticking it in there and spinning it around and around to just to clean everything up and give it a nice new seat to sit in. So kind of a cool old valve. Now it does say exhaust on it, so it's not. It's in the intake hole, but I didn't think these valves were the same size. I thought they were a little bit different, but maybe in the heart pars that was the case. So if we go to number 2, exhaust valve now. Again, you can see some of that. I don't know if you can or not, but I'll do my best to show it to you. There's a little more pitting in the exhaust valves, kind of just the same as we saw in the seats in the last video. A little heavier pitting on the exhaust valves. You know, I can feel them with my finger. There's not, well, there's a little bit of a groove right there. Nothing major though. Again, lots of meat, lots of thickness left on this valve should we have to grind anything off of it to reseat it. So that's number 2 intake valve, looking real good. Or number 2 exhaust valve, sorry. Well, everybody, my audio got screwed up again here, so we'll do a voiceover. So we're looking at the number 3 exhaust valve here right now. This is probably the worst one of the bunch. Pretty heavy groove in it. You can see where I'm sticking my fingernail in it. It's got a few burn marks in it as well. You can see one there right now. That's usually caused by something get between the valve and the seat, gets a hot spot and creates a burn mark on your valve like that. That's another main reason I didn't want to chance having anything on the top of those pistons that was going to have to go through the valves. So glad that we took the valves out. There is a lot of thickness left on this valve, so if I have to grind it, I should be able to grind all that out, but I think I'll try and find a replacement valve for this one. If we get to number 3 intake here now, really good. Can't feel much of a groove in this valve. Lots of thickness left on it. Again, just a light grind should clean this one up, no problem. And then on to number 4 intake valve. This is a pretty similar story to the number 3 intake valve. Not a huge groove that I can feel there, lots of thickness left, just a light touch up, and this valve will be just like new, and then we'll grind the seat to match it. And lastly, number 4 exhaust. Similar story with the other exhaust valves. You can see some pitting in the exhaust valve here, but there's still lots of thickness left on this here valve. So I'm sure we'll be able to grind enough off of this to get rid of that pitting and have a good valve face to seat in the head. Okay, I think we're going to change gears now here, like I mentioned. Get that water pump off. It is leaking oil, so if I can get it apart, maybe have a look in there, figure out what I'm needing for a seal or if the shaft is toast or what, but we will get the water pump off next. So, alright, again, audio file got corrupted here, everybody, so we'll do a voiceover. First thing we're going to do is get the fan removed off of the water pump. There's 4 bolts from the front of it that mount it to the front of the water pump. So we'll get those bolts taken out of there. Once I get the fan out of the way, I'll be able to get the belt loosened off so that I can get it off of the pulley before moving on with the rest of the water pump removal. I decided to go get a ratchet wrench here just to speed up the process of removing these bolts instead of using a flat wrench. One turn at a time. So there's one out of the way, 3 more to go. We'll put her into light speed mode here for you guys to get the rest of these bolts out so you don't have to sit there and be bored. And Shazam, Abracadabra, Oodle to Doodle, whatever you want to say, the fan is off. Now I got to move on to loosening off the pulley so I can get the belt off. So there's a threaded stud here that threads down into the threaded portion of this pulley with a jam nut on it. So I will get those removed out of the way, and hopefully we'll be able to spin the pulley apart enough that I can get the belt loosened off. So how this works is, as you loosen off the pulley, the groove gets wider, so it loosens the belt, and then to tighten it, you make the groove smaller to tighten the belt up. So what I'm trying to do here is get the 2 threaded halves to loosen up so I can get the belt off. But it's going to be a little more stubborn than I anticipated, so we'll have to see if we can come up with a different way to get this loosened off. Okay, so I'm having a little trouble getting this to spin, so threaded 2 of the nuts back in that hold the fan on. I'll put a bar in there to hold that, and then I threaded in just a piece of one of my old alignment tools in there, so hopefully I can, get a little bit of torque on it so that I can try and spin the 2 pieces apart. So we'll see if it works or not. We'll get a bar on these. Oh dear. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Well, this will be fast with a ratchet wrench too. There's 1. here's a pro tip for everybody. When you're taking a component like this off that's usually sealed with a gasket, don't take these last two bolts out all the way. Take them out, since they're in there a little ways, threaded in there yet, but that they're in there far enough so that you can get this water pump broke loose or whatever component, and it's not going to fall, and in this case, you know, push into my rad or whatever. Let the hardware do the work for you. And this one's going to need some help for sure. There, you see, so that broke loose, but it didn't just fall away and fall into my rad and make a big mess of everything. Get the rest of them out. Get them the rest of the way out. And hopefully my idea here works. And we have enough room to slide the pump out of the way. There we are. Set that on the floor for now. Get that loosened. Light. Oh yeah. Nasty. So this is why I want to make sure that I'm doing this, so that that cooling system is going to be good and ready to go when we get it back running. So, well, this is what happens when things sit for a while. Here's our water pump. It's definitely got the same grit and grossness as the inside of the pump housing there. So I think we're making the right call. If you can see in there, see, there you go. It's definitely gross. So this is the way this belt tension, sorry, that's a dumb place for the light, Nathan. So the way that I was struggling when I was getting the belt off, because this side of the belt flange actually spins off of this side of the belt flange. You can see the threads in there, but it's just dirty and gross, so I'll be able to get this apart and clean it and make sure it's good and oiled, and when I have to do anything with the belt, it'll be a lot easier. It hasn't moved forever, so that's an easy fix. Yeah, doesn't look like too complicated of a water pump. There's a packing nut in it there to keep everything from dripping. Other than that, it just looks like a regular water pump. Pretty simple. So we'll get this tore down at some point as well, so that we can rebuild it. Like I say, I'm pretty sure it needs a seal because it was leaking oil. So we'll get that addressed too. Okay, everybody, I think that's where we'll cut this episode or part or whatever you want to call it off. Got our valves cleaned up, inspected, got the water pump off, so we can work towards getting that cooling system all cleaned out. So all in all, productive evening out here in the shop. Probably this episode will probably be airing while I'm down in Tucson for some work training, so might be a week behind getting another video out just while I'm traveling and and whatnot, unless I shoot something while I'm down at the proving grounds for work there. So you guys have seen a couple of videos down there before, so I may try and take some video of something down there. So I hope you're enjoying the build, or the teardown anyway. We'll get to building it again soon and get this tractor running again. So thanks for watching, everybody. Don't forget to like, subscribe. It really helps things out here. You know, growing the channel. We did hit 10,000 subscribers, so big shout out to all of you for helping out with that. I surely appreciate that. That's a cool accomplishment. So yeah, with that, I'm gonna cut it off. I will see you guys back when I'm back from Tucson or down in Tucson, one of the two, and we'll catch you next time. Don't forget, I am Iron Man.